Anybody remember what Bill Gates said one time about 640K of them? Why would anybody need more? Well, he said that in 1982, which was from 1978 to 82. That was 4 years after Ken Olsen, who was president of Digital Equipment Corporation, said, why would anybody ever want a personal computer? Maybe they'll sell 30 of them.
I just want to tell you a quick message about the dojo. This is a community space for hackers, so if you're working on projects, you can come here, collaborate with other people, hang out and work. It's a membership, so there are dues that you would pay. But it's a space with offices and communal workspaces. We're open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And usually we have someone here until about 3 or 4 in the morning, so no worries about being kicked out at 10.
My roommate and I started NetApple Software a little over a year ago in January. We were sort of the guinea pigs of the first Stanford CS193P. Not the one on iTunes, actually the one before that with Paul Marcus and Evan Dahl, Marcos, sorry. And we took our final project and we put it on the App Store. We sort of needed to have a company in order to receive the checks from Apple was the idea. And then, so it was Air Guitar was our first project, and then we're kind of burnt out from that, and so we put out this little app called Shotgun. To date, it's done about 6 million downloads in the Shotgun free, and sort of convinced us that it was worth taking this full time when we graduated. And then we did an app to promote a movie called Mutant Chronicles that never hit the store because it was in review for 3 months, which was awesome. But yeah, so yeah, I think we've done we've done fairly well so far, and sort of we like teaching, so we ended up teaching these things called the iPhone Boot Camp. It's in New York, Boston. There was one in Melbourne. Was it Melbourne? London. A couple of other places. I actually see someone who took one of ours. Hi, Stuart. How's it going? And so there's always these meetups sort of before the boot camps, and then the meetups started happening without even having a boot camp. And so that's sort of how I ended up today. Hey, you know, there's an iPad, right? There's a tablet. Like, so we sit around and be like, well, what does this mean for us as developers?
Sometimes sizes matters. So the bigger, the better. I mean, the size of the device.
Now you have space, you know, to put all your fingers there. So now you really can start innovating as far as, like, you know, what kind of application you can do with all your hands, all your fingers, all the kind of stuff which it's on our land and not on their land. So it's not really game changing. It's just if you took the iPod Touch and made it bigger, this is what you would get.
I think it's game changing in the sense that when you open up a whole world of applications you couldn't do before, you know, it's not that it's just 1 inch bigger.
Pretty much any. Oh, okay. So let me close that up right there. I'm not getting paid by Apple or that, but it's. I would argue that the same thing happens with all their devices. They kind of keep them under wraps, and I'd say there's hits and misses, but anything Steve Jobs gets involved on, and so I just like Steve Jobs. I think he knows what he's doing, right?
Most content providers like the New York Times don't think like developers, so they don't get how to contextualize something to the iPhone. They don't get kind of what is unique about that and how to make content. But if you give them a 10 by 9, whatever the dimensions are, they get that. So I think we'll see content developers all over.
This I guess is the question. Like you say, netbooks have their own space in computing. You know, is the iPad in that space, or is the iPad in a different space?
I actually just left Apple, and I can tell you that netbooks were definitely cannibalizing.
There's a difference between a netbook and the iPad is that a netbook, they sell it to you cheap, and companies don't make much money on it. But an iPad is going to have iTunes, the iBookstore, and the App Store on it. So what Apple can do is sell it to you for a reasonable price and then suck money out of every single consumer every day from then on. That's a fundamental change that Apple has under control, is when they get a device to you, then they use it to suck money out of you. The netbook guys just sell you a netbook and they're done.
And the data
kill Kindle too. I was going to say that. Netbook and Kindle at one stroke. Yeah. That's a nice slice to take right out.
And why did Steve Jobs put so much time and effort into this just to kill the netbook space? That makes no sense. I think he's thinking very creatively about textbooks, for instance, and really fundamentally changing the way textbooks are. Right now, there's no interaction, but if you're looking at your textbook on this iPad, It's going to be able to give you problems. It's going to be able to do animations. It's going to make textbooks something completely different that we've never seen in this world before.
We were saying before about this killing, Kindle, killing the netbooks, killing all the stuff. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that what this is really doing is setting a price point. I mean, now you cannot charge for a Kindle the same price. The Kindle DS sells about the same price. I mean, that's not going to happen. So what we're going to be seeing is that suddenly a lot of these companies need to adjust their pricing points. For example, netbooks are going to be cheaper. Kindle, I think there is still a place for Kindle. There was comment here about the e-ink and all this stuff. I think that, that's still like a huge, and like the distribution channel that Amazon have, I mean, that's not going to go away, but the price point is going to be different. So
I'm going to, interject with the multitasking question.
Maybe some people will be angry against me, but I do believe that multitasking is really a geek thing.
My girlfriend, I jailbroke her up, and she loves the multitask. She does Pandora in the background, so.
That's all the people who say, yeah, multitasking is so great. I ask them, okay, what do you do as multitasking? They will say, yeah, Pandora. Okay, music, but you only need music. What else you can do in multitasking?
Whoever does multitasking is going to win, and if Apple does not do multitasking, other tablet manufacturers will blow them out of the water.
I agree that there are some some life monitoring cases, and I think in location kind of check-ins like Foursquare, other things that would hugely benefit from running in the background. But I think right now, those are, while successful within our communities in the Bay Area, those are, I mean, Foursquare has what, 200,000 people? That's nothing for Apple to basically try to put their entire system or the smoothness of their system at risk to develop this task. I don't think the mass market of 10 million people use that yet.
I think that's just the first generation. I mean, we're going to see this evolving so rapidly. And it's just going to, the moment they're going to find how to do that well, I think that most likely going to see like all the different iPhone apps running side to side and who knows what else. But I think that it's inevitable that we'll see multitasking on the tablet.
I'm actually the devil's advocate on multitasking on the iPhone. I don't know about the iPad, but I'm very much against it because the one is the battery. I don't want my phone dying. Everyone's like, oh, the Droid does this and the Nexus 1 does that, and they're going to beat the iPhone on like feature X, feature Y, feature Z. No one does scrolling speeds anywhere near what the iPhone does, not even close.
I don't think so. Anyway, I'm not here to pimp Android. I like to develop agnostic. I like to be Swiss in what I develop, but I like to think that content does not have to be a prisoner of a device, and it would be good if Apple embraced open standards, JavaScript, HTML5, CSS, and don't be unfriendly to Android.
It's true, not every industry has had this, like you can get an app out instantly and you can change it instantly and everything, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a huge, huge value to be able to do that. I don't see any moral issue here. I think if Apple wants to control their platform totally, they can do that, that's cool. I even think it might have been smart on the phones because, man, apps before iPhone were kind of crap. So just, making sure that consumers had a good experience was great. But eventually, just the value of being able not only to launch an app with basically no overhead like you can do on the web, but also to rapidly iterate. Some people are iterating like, changing their apps like several times a day, literally on the web. Being able to do split tests, right? A/B tests, things like that. Being able to just, be really fluid and really low cost with those changes. It is so much harder to do that with apps that have to go through the App Store, even if it's 8 hours, right? And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's 8 days, or for some some unlucky people, 8 weeks. So I think Apple's done a great job with the platform so far, but I feel like long term, they're going to have to get that out if they're going to stay competitive and have the best apps on their platform.
I have an Android phone here. I'm an iconoclast.
You don't have to leave now, Stuart.
He's a certified stamped iPhone developer.
Everybody else in my office was buying iPhones, so I had to buy it. Well, there is a problem.
It's a good point to break. I hope you all hang out for a while and chat, sort of like mano a mano. Thank you.
Yeah.